Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. Time for another live stream. It is Thursday, September 24th, 2020. And you know what that means? It is happy hour today. So cheers to that. Today I am drinking Leinenkugel's Oktoberfest. For the longest time, I only thought that Leinenkugel made shandy. So I thought it was like a ridiculously redundant name. Like I equated Leinenkugel with shandies. But they make other beers too. And today I'm having the Oktoberfest. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to making it to happy hour, whatever you're drinking today, whether it's alcoholic or not. We made it through most of the week. That's pretty tasty. It says it's a German-style Marzen beer, which I'm not sure I can say that I would be able to pick that out. I'm not sure if I've ever had an authentic German-style Marzen beer before. So, yeah. But that one's tasty. I like it. It has a very crisp flavor to it, but also a little bit like on the sugary side too. So very tasty. Danny J says, "My friends, I'm drinking seltzer water." Cool. JC is here. Bert Legas and Frank LaHoulier. They're about to start their own wearables company apparently. Ozen Backstros is here. Chris Yao. Yeah, open up the beer. Go for it. What are you drinking today? M. Barosukaful says, "Loved your GoPro 9 review." Thanks so much. I've been having fun with it today, and I've been kind of messing with people on the internet today as well, because I put some running footage side by side. I got a little bit better lighting for this time, and I'm going to put another one out. I'll probably put another one out after the live stream too, putting them side by side. And I didn't tell people which one was which. I just was like, hey, you tell me which one looks better. And there seems to be a consensus on Instagram in terms of which one people seem to like more, although it's not unanimous. It's not clear. And same with Twitter as well. So pretty fun. I will let everyone know the results in, I'll update the Instagram post like tomorrow. I'm going to do the upgrading from 8 to 9 video. Is it worth it? And so far, I'm thinking the answer is it depends. I think that if you already are if all you use the GoPro for is for action camera stuff, I'm not sure it's worth upgrading. I mean, the new stabilization is really good though. So that's one thing, like if you're running when talking with the camera. But I think that really if you're looking for that kind of like life camera type of camera, something that's like better than your iPhone, and that's another video that I should probably make too. If you're looking for something that's like better than the iPhone, then I think that it's definitely worth upgrading for. But I still have to look at the footage a little bit more closely, a little bit more critically. A lot of people, when they were looking at them side by side, were like, I can't tell looking at it on Instagram, which is very fair. And same thing with Twitter. Like, it's hard to tell when it's small. I need to be able to see it in on a bigger screen. So yeah, I got to do that too some more before I put my final thoughts together. But that's kind of like where I'm at so far. Is the 9 is great. If you have a 7 and you've had that camera for a couple of years now and you're using your GoPro regularly, definitely upgrade. 8, I think it's closer. I think it's really close. Brian Tambourine says, that's a great name. Brian Tambourine says, Adidas website has one colorway of Boston 9 on sale for $60. Couldn't resist at this price because of the positive reviews. So maybe my first Adidas shoe. I think that's a really good introduction to Adidas running shoes as well. My introduction to Adidas running shoes, I mean, I think I had some probably around the turn of the century, 20 years ago. But of the ones that I can really remember, it would be like Ultra Boost. And I don't think that's a great older Ultra Boost. And I'm not sure that's a great introduction to Adidas in terms of what they can really do as far as a running shoe. The Boston 9, that's a great way to get in there. And at $60, what a great price. All right, Danny J says, signing up for his first marathon today, Tucson Marathon on December 5th. Hopefully it actually happens. Ooh, I think that's cutting it close. Have we heard an update on CIM yet? I thought that was supposed to happen already. What's going on with CIM? Let's see. M. Byrosukaful says, drinking some Lawson's Sip of Sunshine. That sounds tasty. I'm not familiar with that beer, though. Awesome. Jared Cross is here. Carlos Sass is here. You're never late. As long as you're here, you're here, and I'm happy to have you here. And his Dunbar is here as well. Very cool. M. Gruner says, "Do I have a dad win story from this week?" That's like what the dads do on the dads podcast that Dave Chang does. Let's see, a dad win story for this week. I feel like my dad win story for the week was letting my kids do that river crossing in the video from today, and I did a review of Merrell hiking shoes, and I kept having to remind myself that I'm not going to run in these shoes, and if they're really heavy, it's okay. But like they wanted to do this river crossing, and I was just like, I'm going to pick them up and just put them on the other side of this river. This doesn't make any sense. But like. And like even as the baby was trying to do, she didn't do the harder part, but she did some of the easy parts. But even some of those, I was like, oh, as soon as I like put her down and let her start going, I was like, I regret this instantly. This is a bad idea. If I come home with a soaking wet baby, my wife's gonna be mad. But I was like, no, let her go, let her do it, and she did it. And she was mad that I didn't let her do it the first time too. So I was like, okay, all right, well I gotta let her do it. And then, after that, she was like, my legs are tired, Daddy. And I was about to pick her up, and I was like, nope, we're hiking. We're putting in some work today. We're going to do it. And so I felt pretty good about that. I'm not sure that's a huge dad win, but it feels like a dad win today. Let me see, what else did I do that felt like pretty good about dad-wise? That's probably about it. Something that I did poorly as a dad, I guess if we're going to do the whole, like, just copy off of Dave Chang's dad's podcast. The baby has been watching a lot of iPad lately, just like so much iPad. And part of that is because this week, for whatever reason, I didn't plan out my videos very well, and like I just bit off way more than I could chew. I had so many like super long videos that took a lot of work to put together. And so normally I like to have them pretty much done before I go for my run in the morning. But there were videos where I still needed another hour, 2.5 hours to get them done even after my run. And normally that's time that I'm supposed to be working with the baby on like letters and shapes and colors and stuff. But I just let her watch iPad. She was happy to do it, and I was happy to let her do it. But not so great. But over under, we're still alive. We're still all happy. So I think that's good. Thank you for asking, though. Inez Dunbar says, I like the kids crossing the river section. Good to let them get going in the outdoors. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I like, I thought some of the most powerful moments that I had growing up were the times where I didn't think I could do something, and then I tried real hard and came close. Right? I mean, like, trying really hard and getting something accomplished was also great, but like, oh, getting so close, I want to try it again. Like, that kind of thing I always felt was really rewarding. And so I think that, like, if I can kind of curate a little bit of those experiences, like, I'm not going to throw her in and, like, just make her do the whole, like, the baby do the whole thing by herself. Because that one rock is really wobbly. Like, the rock before it tilts down, then there's a wobbly rock, and then the rock after it tilts up. So it's kind of challenging. I'm not going to make her do that, because then she'll definitely fall in, or she'll just, like, be like a cat and just be, like, stuck there and not know where to go. And so, like, I try to find, like, the right challenges for her without, like, limiting her too much. That's kind of, I don't know, what I'm trying to do here. Let's see. Vacant Houses says, who else is pretending to work for exactly 26 minutes longer and then going for a run? Very cool. Very cool. Rain Runner got endorphin speed and citron last night. They're so beautiful and bright. Don't want to wear them outside yet. How is the running conditions out there? I think the air quality is better, but I mean, if the air quality was that bad because of smoke, like, does it like get on you when you're running out there and all that stuff? That's hopefully things are clearing up. All right, Chris Dyke says, I'm late and I'm not sorry, but I'm Canadian, so I guess I am. I love the Canadian joke. My mother-in-law was telling me about, it was an interesting coincidence because we were talking a lot about Canada. Was it yesterday or 2 days? Yeah, 2 days ago, I think. We were talking a lot about Canada. And then yesterday, my mother-in-law was talking about Canada because she was like, hey, look, there's a lot of houses for sale in Orlando, Florida. Prices are really good. And I was like, really? I would expect them to be really high because I would think that people from other more congested areas are like, we're going somewhere, we're doing virtual school, we're going to go buy a house or rent a house or do something down in Florida where it's warm, a house that has like a pool in it and all that. I would think that there'd be low inventory. And my mother-in-law was like, well, I think it's because Canadians can't come down to Florida right now. So all these houses that are normally like rental houses or houses that are rentals sometimes, like vacation houses, they're not filling up like they normally do. So people are selling it. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. And she's like, because they can't come down here. Or they can come down here, but they can't go back. And so they'd be stuck. I was like, oh, that's a good point. So I wonder if that's actually true. But anyway. Rainrunner says, the air is fresh and incredible again. And she's going to never take that for granted again. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear about that. All right. David Vick says, Endorphin Pro versus Brooks Hyperion Elite in the midsole softness and forgiving. I would say in terms of midsole softness and which one's forgiving, they're both a little bit on the stiffer side. But I would say once you're getting up to speed, pretty close. I would say the Endorphin Pro by a little bit. But it's been a while since I've run in that one. It's close though. Very close. Yeah, Sean Marshall says, no beer yet because I've yet to run, but more PB toast for me today. Awesome. Very cool. Sounds like a good snack. Let's see. Keeperfication says, I doubt Canadians want to come here. Yeah, I think it's not a good time for other people to be here. I think it's a good time to let Americans wallow in our own Americanness, and we'll get kind of what we've deserved or earned, I guess. Jody Run says, good day, everyone. What's going on? All right. Let's see. Let's see. Some of you guys are talking about that guy that came in yesterday, or what we think was a bot. It's pretty interesting. I won't mention the name, because then maybe it's like Beetlejuice if you say the guy's name a couple of times. Then he'll be here. Carrie S says, how's the knee? The knee is, confusing me a little bit. I think it's a little bit more complicated than what I'd originally thought it was. But it's feeling better. When I keep mileage low, it seems to do better. When I have a higher mileage day, then the following day, definitely it feels less good. Today I did an hour and a half on the bike because I was like, I'm gonna just take a break. I was thinking that I would do one rest day a week and do a bike that one day a week. But I'm thinking like maybe every third, 3 days running and then a day on the bike. And then some days I might do like run and bike just to keep like the total number of like hours up. So that way, like aerobically, I won't be losing out on too much. But I just think I need to take more of an aggressive pullback from the running. The thing I still do need to do, though, is I need to run an 8K this weekend. Because I'm in that trial of miles competition. So, like, I'm trying to I'm considering, like, this time as, like, treat it like a taper. Race every once in a while, run a little bit, but, like, keep the mileage low. So I'll try that, see how that goes. And then hopefully, like, after a while, it'll just feel like, well, I don't really need to kind of baby the leg anymore, and I'll slowly start to bring it back. Because I've always, what I've been doing is probably what every person who gets injured ever does. Is, like, I'd be like, ooh, feel good today. Tomorrow, I'm going to run 15 miles. So I would kind of do that, and then it would turn out miserably. So I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious about returning. Because, I think that, like, if it keeps along this kind of, like, trajectory, it's going to, like, I think eventually what will happen is, like, my right knee's bothering me a little bit, and then a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit, and it's kind of lingering. And then the next thing I know, like, my left hip's going to start hurting. So, like, I don't want it to get worse. So I'm just pulling back and pulling back further. If I have to go, like, a full week without running and just do the bike, or even do less than even that, then, we'll try that. All right. Let's see. What do we have here? Thank you for asking me about the knee, by the way. There was a question here from... Yeah, here we go. DJ Muad'Dib says, I was going to run my first marathon in a Carbon X, but I'm finding they are too firm and beat up on my legs anything longer than a half. Thinking of giving the Endorphin Speed a shot. Is it softer? Yes, it is a lot softer. The thing about the Carbon X, it's a ProFly X foam in that Hoka shoe, and it is soft at faster speed, so when you're really loading it up, it gets softer, but that shoe is more about having a smooth, like, foot strike in transition. It's like running on an elliptical to me. But if you're not quite hitting it right, if your gait doesn't quite match up with the shoe's design, it can be a little bit of a stiffer ride. So I would definitely take a look at the Endorphin Speed. I mean, it's a good shoe to have anyway. So I'm like, you're not going to be wasting your money. Husky Runner says, in the market for some running shorts, you have a favorite pair? I mean, I guess it depends on the length. For 2-inch shorts, I do really like chicken leg shorts. They make some good 2-inchers. For 5-inch shorts, I like I like Path Projects for 5 and 7-inch. Those are really just useful shorts for me to have. I also like half tights. So depending on like what your needs are, the Path Project shorts I like because you can fit a phone in the back. If you don't really need to worry about the phone and you want to go like with a lighter material, then like Janji makes a good Janji makes really good shorts as well that I really enjoy. So those are just some of the ones that I've been running in a lot lately. Yeah. Jody Run says, is the file size for the GoPro 9 5K much larger than the GoPro 8? I haven't looked at it. I guess I could do that too and do like a 1 minute file size comparison, but I'm sure that those kinds of metrics like also exist somewhere on GoPro site. But yeah. Just because I've been shooting so much content lately to compare like the two cameras, and just because it's a new camera, so I want to get just a lot of footage. The last couple of days of shooting have been a bit of a juggling act on my little MacBook, because the hard drive is not that big, so it's been a lot. So I definitely have noticed it quite a bit. JG says, you think of moving to triathlon? Not really, but bicycling is really popular in Iowa, and the roads around here are really nice for cycling, and it's a zero impact activity. So kind of like those are all the reasons why I'm using it to supplement some of my running. But the main reason we bought the bikes was so that we can go on family bike rides. So that's why I have it. I do want to try a triathlon at some point though. Once like everything is over. Hey, what's going on?
I put on my pretend makeup.
Yo, okay. You look great. Yeah. She got a set of like play makeup from my mom. Hi, Mom. I saw my mom's in here earlier, and so she always tells me when she's playing with it. Vacant Houses says, I've been doing 3 days running, 1 day bike for the last few weeks. Yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm gonna try that for a little while, and try not to focus on like weekly running mileage, even though that's like my favorite number to keep track of, and focus more on like weekly like hours of activity. JP says, hey all, I made it. Don't you hate it when meetings are scheduled during the live stream? That's pretty funny. Well, cheers, JP. Good to see you again. Kevin Kwan says, maybe run every other day. I mean, if it gets to that, I suppose that's like the next step. I'm hoping that I can run a little bit more frequently than that, but we'll see. Hey. Eric Fensky says, Achilles issues for me now. Low mileage could cure it, but I'm an addict, so can't stop, won't stop. I can... Oh, is that your purse? Cool. It's nice. It looks nice. What colors is it?
Purple and white.
That's right. Good job. Yeah, I definitely feel like in the can't stop, won't stop. I just prefer running. I like I don't know. I like collecting the miles too. So that's all part of it. Stephen Gersdorf says he likes Walmart workout shorts, $7. That's cool. So I got this stuff from Reebok, and they sent me some stuff. They sent me a shirt and the shorts. And the shorts, so they sent these to go along with the, I posted on Instagram today, the Forever Float Ride Forever Grow. And so, but it's for like a performance running shoe made out of sustainable materials. So this shirt is like a tech shirt. It's nice. It's a little bit on the thick side, but that's okay since it's, September. And it's getting a little bit cooler here in Iowa. But the shorts they sent me were like 10-inch unlined shorts. So like they're just like 10-inch like workout shorts. And I was like, what size did they send me? And it's a medium, but it's just gigantic. So like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with those. I don't know why Walmart shorts made me think of that. Carlos PR says, knee pain, welcome to the 40s, my friend. That's what I was thinking too. Because my wife, when she turned 40, she's a little bit older than me. When my wife turned 40, she was like, my boss was telling me, this is what she's saying, my boss was telling me that 40s were great for like the first 3 months, and then everything fell apart. And so I'm like, oh, so now I'm like counting the months. I was like, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, no, I'm almost 41 now, but yeah, maybe everything is just falling apart. So, it definitely occurred to me today while I was riding my bike that I'm like, this just might be, what it's like from now on. I get to run maybe 5 miles at a time. And then I have to save up if I ever want to do like a half marathon or a marathon. I don't know. And then I was also like, just endlessly scrolling on Instagram today. And I think it was, what was her name? Colleen Steeple Squigs. She was like she was on a Peloton bike and she was like rubbing like CBD like salve on her knee, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to get some of that. And I was like, I am 40, by the way. That's like the exact like thought process that ran through my mind. So like I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just where I'm at. Sean Marshall says less mileage sounds healthy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think that like maybe I'm gonna be like stuck at this forever. Maybe this is as good as it gets. It's not bad. I'm like still out there in the fresh air 10 hours a week, so that's pretty good. Bradley guy says those 10-inch shorts are like homie shorts. Yeah, they're well, I'll try them on for you guys. We'll see. Lewis M said he had a 24-ounce Miller a little while ago, but knocked it over and most of it spilled. That's a bummer. J. Mike Remy says you can't collect all the miles if you don't do all the sports. Yeah, I mean, I gotta figure out the swimming part though. I would like to swim. I just want to be in a pool. I don't really want to swim for exercise all that much. It's just so draining. So like, I mean, I eat like crazy now, and my body is just basically a poop making machine. It constantly needs to be fed. I can't imagine if I were swimming regularly too, what it would be like. Like I don't know if like my insides could handle the extra amount of like calories I would need. Anyway. Yeah. Jennifer Herring talking about my daughter, the baby coming up and showing people what's in the bag. She goes, "What's in my bag?" is popular on YouTube. I bet she knows. Yeah, I'm not sure. I watch the YouTube that she watches. She watches kids YouTube on the iPad, and some of it I enjoy. Some of it from like the family vlogger stuff, it's enjoyable. It's a little bit annoying sometimes, but it's not directed for like 40-year-old men, which is a good thing because she's not a 40-year-old man, my daughter. So it's not really for me, but I can find it entertaining. But some of the stuff that they watch, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really want to watch this. It's really tough. But I don't think that the channel she watches has gotten into what's in my bag. But I suppose though, like the 4-year-old version of that is like, what's inside these LOL doll packages, So like she knows really well. Yeah. Arnold Allen says, do you have trouble picking between small sizes and medium sizes? I do now. I never used to, but now I do. I think I'm just shrinking. I want to say in my old age, but that's probably not true. I just think that like, my weight has been pretty stable for a long time now, but I think my body shape is still changing a little bit. So like now I'm finding myself gravitating more towards smalls. Like this medium feels really big, and when I put it on and I was like looking at the shirt, I'm like, this is a big shirt. Is this a medium? So I'm just like the like crazy shrinking man, I guess. Yeah. So, but like I know like certain brands like Corsa is a brand that they frequently send me stuff. They're affiliated with Roadrunner Sports. The R Gear stuff that's sold at Roadrunner Sports, that it's like a mix. Some things, like if it's supposed to be tight fitting or if it's a singlet, I'll go with small, but everything else will go with medium. With Corsa stuff, I always go with small. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I need an extra small if that's available, which it usually isn't. Because the sizes are just giant. I don't understand the sizing. So it reminds me, and I brought up this like, I think I brought up this concept before, but in Korea growing up, there would, like, not in Korea, but like growing up in New Jersey, like as Korean immigrants, we would have stuff that sometimes my mom would buy me stuff at, like, you know, Kmart, Caldor, Walmart, wherever. Sometimes we go to Macy's. You know, later on we had nicer stuff. But like, there was always, if you bought like American stuff, there was one size that you had. But then if you bought stuff, sometimes my parents would get stuff like from like a Korean, like someone that imported stuff from Korea, and but you could tell if it was stuff imported from Korea for the American market. So we would call it like Migook large or American large, and it would just be giant, right? So like a regular large would feel like a large, but a Migook large would be like a double XL, because I think like over there that, like, this was back in like the early 90s, there was still like a lack of conception of like what an American looks like and what a large means in American, for American sizing or vanity sizing or whatever. There's no like standards. And so like things that were made in Korea for the American market were just completely the wrong size all the time. Fortunately, this was also the time where like clothes were just gigantically baggy. So it worked out okay. But it, like, sizing was so strange. Dunbar says it took 22 minutes for poop to be mentioned. I think that's a record. That might be a record. Who was it asked me if I'm turning 41 soon? Not soon, in a couple months. But yeah, so I'll be 41 later. Jennifer Herring says, I have been running for 30 years and I am 45. Aches just come and go, but it's still okay. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Innes Dunbar says, 51 here and no injuries so far. I'll touch wood for that. Awesome. Lewis Cameron says, I thought you weren't pro CBD code. Yeah, like I'm not, because I'm just concerned. I don't know what like the legality is of it. Not that I'm worried that I'm going to get like, you know, someone's going to knock down the door and bust me for having like CBD salve for my aching knees. But it's just, you know, I would prefer to see marijuana, all aspects of it to be descheduled, so that more research can be done on it, and so that things can be done more properly with kind of like, you know, things being approved at the federal level. CV76 says 40 equals it's all downhill from here. That's pretty much what people tell me. People also tell me that 40 is the new 30. So like, I think that both things are true though. I think both things are true. Danny J says, read Lifespan by David Sinclair. That will change the way you think about aging. I'll take a look at that. Lifespan by David Sinclair. I mean, I don't think that I have too negative of a impact or like a conception or a perspective on aging. Because like for the most part, I'm like, oh man, the 40s are going to be the fastest decade of my life. But then just like this last couple of weeks where I'm like, this thing that normally kind of goes away faster than this has not gone away as fast as it normally does. Why is that? You know, so I'm like, I'm doing glute activations, I'm doing my leg mobility routine, and it's still not better. So I'm like, what's going on with that? So that's kind of like has me like, you know, slippery slope kind of stuff. Jeff Elliott says, I'll be 47 in November, and I don't think you have to stop or deal with knee issues. I do enjoy Epsom salt baths, and I like BioFreeze. Yeah, like today when I saw that thing about like the CBD like ointment for the knee, I was like, oh, maybe I needed to get some Tiger Balm. Maybe I needed to get some Bengay. Maybe I need to get, what's that stuff that Shaquille O'Neal has? Like the Icy Hot, the stuff that makes him do the dance. Like I need to get some of that. But like, yeah, I was going down like, what are some of the things that I could put on this thing to make it feel better? I feel like, you know, if I'm at to the point where I have to pop a couple Advil before I go for a run, that's where I'm like, no, that's maybe not the right like avenue to go down. But maybe if there's something that can just loosen up the area, way, I don't know, I'd be open to that. But then I'd be worried, well, am I just masking symptoms that I really should be paying attention to? I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe I do need to like to get out of this a little, not funk, but this is like mini rut. You know, maybe I do need to read something. I am in need of a new book, audiobook, so I'll see if it's on audiobook. Yeah, Larry Lawrence says, keeping it to just 300 miles a month. Yep, slowing down in old age. Yeah, it's relative. It's relative. Matt852 says, I'll be 40 in 10 years. Feeling okay so far. That's awesome. When I was 30, I mean, I guess when I was 30 is when I ran my first marathon because I ran it with my dad. And then I took several years off. And those are probably some pretty unhealthy years as well. Leading up to my 30, like to being 30, also some pretty unhealthy years. But, yeah, Steven Gerza says, I'm 60. Splitting up your workouts throughout the day in smaller chunks really helps. I've been thinking about that a lot too. Is that like before I would run commute. So I was getting 75 miles a weekend, but I was running like 6 miles in the morning and then like 8 miles in the afternoon. Because I would just tack on, if I had time, I would tack on a couple of miles before I picked up the girls after I ran home. But now I have to do all my run, because of my schedule, I kind of have to do all my running at once. And so that makes it a little bit harder. And I was also thinking like, you know, I've elected to stack the workout as like a short run and then a bike. So maybe I've done that this week, and I think I'd like to do that more often. I like it much more than just biking. Just biking I don't like. But I would think that either, but when I was thinking about how to kind of structure that, I was like, well, you know, I can run 5 miles no problem. So like I just need to run only 5 miles at a time. And then maybe I just do that twice a day. But I haven't run a double probably in like 6 months. So, you know, I'd have to work up to it again. But I did really like running doubles a lot. Daniel M says, just turned 28 and I'm already resisting the urge to yell at these punk kids. That's funny. You must have just bought a house. That's when it like flips, I think. Martha says, I wouldn't jump to that conclusion before at least consulting with a PT. You're absolutely right, Martha. Martha, you're always so sensible. PT solved my problem after tunnel marathon in no time. You know how old I am, though I have way fewer miles on me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I need it. And you're right. I gotta get it. I just gotta get it figured out. But here's the thing. So I'm like, you know what? Just go to the physical therapist's office. They've been open, you know, in theory. I don't know which one I'm talking about, but like just generally like physical therapy offices have been open. They've been seeing patients. They've been doing it safely. It's not like, you know, like the White House like task force. That's not like, don't go to PT because that's what's getting you, you know. So it's not like that kind of situation where it's like people are shutting down bars. But I'm also like, hey, you know what? It seems like a vaccine is coming around the corner. So why not just wait a little bit longer? You know, as long as I'm not doing any damage, and hopefully I'm not, you know. I explain it a lot, you know, like I've been trying to kind of like hint at it to my nieces and nephews that are a little bit older and are in that like younger demographic who seems to be going out a lot. Not that they necessarily are, but you know, just maybe I can pass on a nugget of wisdom if I could. I like to think of it as like, you know, if you think that you're ultimately gonna get coronavirus, you want to delay that as long as possible, because I think they're better at treating it now than they were in the beginning. And 3 months from now, they'll even be better at treating it than they are today. So you just want to delay that as much as possible. And number two is, on the other hand too, is what if you get it and it's really bad? And like, what if you are the last person to die from coronavirus? Because like two days later, the vaccine was approved, right? Like, what was it? Maybe you could have waited a couple more weeks to get that haircut. You know, it would be a real shame there. You were like, well, I felt like I had to go on living my life. But everyone else just waited 2 weeks and got the vaccine. You just didn't know that the vaccine was coming. So that's kind of like, that's really morbid. But like, that's where I think about it. I'm like, you know, I still got this filling that broke loose that I need to get checked. I got to get my eyes checked again because I'm due for a checkup. I'm due for a dental cleaning just generally, and I need to see the physical therapist. So, I definitely need a haircut, and I could use a shave. This might be a time where I get someone else, like go to a barber that will actually shave me. Maybe. I think it might be time. But you know, I'm just gonna hold off. So if it turns out, you know, that we are gonna get that October surprise and there's a vaccine, and assuming Fauci says it's okay, if Fauci says it's okay, I'll get it. Then you know, then we're good. Didn't wait that long. But, if it's a little bit longer, then, maybe I reevaluate. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Jeff Elliott says, in terms of swimming, I found it really hard to swim at a relaxed pace. I had to use the float to help. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I'm not familiar with that kind of technique. My cow said, since it's Thursday, have you ever had any beer from Toppling Goliath? I think someone asked that last Thursday as well. I have, and it's a very tasty beers. Like the Apex Predator, really good beer. I think I might have had another one of theirs. Yeah, I think I've had 2 different ones, but they tasted so similar. I may have only just had one. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a good brewery. But here's the thing: everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's an Iowa brewery." People around here in Iowa are like super excited about it. But most of the cans that you see, and not the ones in Iowa, but in Chicago, most of the cans that you see came from their Florida brewery or their Florida like distributor. So like once they got big, they outsourced some of their distribution. So I think of it kind of like a co-packer, like the way that people make, like that companies make ice cream. It might have like a different label on it, but like, 4 or 5 different companies might all come from like the same ice cream factory, which is a combination of words that I think sounds delightful, ice cream factory. But I think that's what they do with Toppling Goliath as well. Right. Rainrunner says, future cavities or coronavirus seems not worth it. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I touch wood, knock on wood, however it's said, depending on where you're from. It doesn't hurt. But if I had like throbbing toothache pain, then I think I'd probably go. But as long as it's not like continuing to, like not hurting me, I'm going to, I'm going to let it go. Carlos PR says, dude, stop being so afraid. You're an extremely healthy person. You're not going to die. Yeah, probably not. But, most people think that they're above average drivers. So, I mean, if you think about that, that's kind of where it goes. I was listening to, when I was in the car the other day, what was on that I don't normally listen to? It was Fareed Zakaria's GPS. I was listening to that on, like, the blue car that I've been driving. Has satellite radio in it. And he was saying that, like the U.S., Brazil, and the U.K., and Chile all have had like remarkably bad coronavirus responses, and part of it is because on all 4 of those cultures there's this sense of like nationalism / superior, we're better than you, and so like in all 4 of those cultures there's a general disdain for looking to other countries for guidance in terms of how to do things. In the United States, that's definitely true. It goes to the courts, even in our legal system as well. And so, everyone thinks that they're better than it, which I'm like, I don't know. But even if I am, remember, I'm still living with 5 other people here. So maybe they're not extremely healthy people. So that's the other concern as well. It's not just about me. Martha says, gotta love Dr. Fauci. Yeah, you know what? Here, someone once asked me if I believed in any conspiracy theories. This was like one of like the first live streams. Someone asked me that. Here was a conspiracy that I totally would have been ready to jump into. Like if something bad had happened to Fauci when he had that surgery on his like vocal cords, like I would have been like, wow, like that is like the White House going to great lengths to literally silence an opposing voice. So like when I heard that like Fauci was going to have like some polyps removed from his throat area, I was like, if you're Fauci, why would you ever agree to that? Like, you got to be super paranoid that someone, I mean, they're telling you all of a sudden that something's going on with your voice, and you're like being that vocal, speaking out against, not speaking out against, well, he's speaking out against some of the lunacy that's out there. I'm like, you got to be careful. But if you've heard him lately, his voice is stronger than ever. And he sounds great, so I'm happy for that. Martha says haircuts are one thing and your physical health is another. She's debating about the dentist too. Yeah. Yep. JC says, "Call, give me a close-up of the tooth, no charge consult." No, I don't think anyone wants to see what's going on in there. Stevie76 says, need an oil change too. I did get an oil change. I went to Uncle David's shop down though in Guttenberg. So, it was all very far distance. So that I was comfortable doing. Uncle David met me outside of his shop. I handed him the key. I didn't touch it. He touched the other end of it. And then they changed the oil, rotated the tires, got me some new fluid, new wipers. And the baby and I went for a walk for like 45 minutes down by the river in Guttenberg. And then we came back, and then the car was just ready. So that was pretty cool. So I didn't have to go inside anywhere at all. So I did do the oil change. That's the first time I had done an oil change in... When did I last own a car? Maybe like 2000 No, we owned a car before the baby was born. So I used to have a Honda Fit, a used Honda Fit that we bought at CarMax. And I had that for maybe 3 years, something like that, 2 years. I used to drive out to Brookfield for work. And then, so I would do the reverse commute. And then like the year before my older daughter was born, we sold it. So she's 8. So I haven't owned a car in 9 years. So it's been like 9 years since I had an oil change. It's nice. Now I have like a family member that does it. It doesn't do it for me. Like I pay him, but it's nice to have like a mechanic in the family that I can go to. Stevie76 says, you can do a review on the vaccine, true to size. I will do a review on the vaccine. That is a fantastic idea. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'll do it. That's fun. Matt852 says, I was talking about the October surprise, which is kind of like that thing that tends to happen late in October before a November election, for those of you who aren't familiar with the phrase. Matt852 says, my definition for surprise, quote unquote, has definitely changed, and I'm not really looking forward to one in October. Yeah, because can you imagine? I mean, I would imagine like the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg is probably the closest thing we'll have to, hopefully the closest thing we'll have to an October surprise. Because if like in 2020, like everything that's been going on, what can change an election further than what's already happening now? I just don't know. Yeah. All right. Sean Marshall says, you live near Wrigleyville, right? Yeah, we still live there. We just haven't been there in like 4.5, 5 months. Yeah. So yeah, we're about like a mile and like a quarter. If you walked out, because like you could just walk. We're not that far from Clark Street, but if you walk from Clark Street up, it's about a little less than a mile and a quarter to get there. Not really. Hank Aaron said, lakefront to Brookfield. Yikes. Yeah, it was a long commute. But there wasn't too much traffic. I would say that the Stevenson is the one highway in Chicago, at least back then, which would have been like 2010 or so. It was like 2000. Yeah, 2008 to 2010. That's when it was. When I was doing that drive, we still had the car after 2010, but I did the drive from 2008 to 2010. The Stevenson wasn't that bad backwards. Everything else, like the Ike, Eisenhower, like those are all bad both ways, but the Stevenson wasn't. DD asks, are you still wearing the Ultra Superior 4.5? Yes, I am. I think I've got about like 65 miles in them. I'll probably take them out for a spin tomorrow. No, you know what? I'm probably going to run into Bondi tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. Maybe those of Bondi will be really nice on my knees. So that'd be really, yeah. If it turns out like I can go out and run like 10 miles on the Bondi tomorrow, that's going to be my shoe of the year. if it can give me that. Yeah. Daniel M says 2020 energy is bigly nasty for sure. Yeah. Martha says, Johnson & Johnson vaccine is starting third stage trials. They're testing the only major one that requires just one shot. Yeah, that to me makes a lot more sense. Here's the other thing. Did I tell you guys about this? I was reading about the other two that are have been in stage 3 trials, the ones that require 2 shots. And I don't know why it's getting cloudy here, so I'm dark. So those 2 shots, one of them requires storage at -70 degrees Celsius. The other requires storage at negative 20 degrees Celsius. So this means you're not going to walk to your local like convenience store and get it like you can get the flu shot. At least I think. I don't know. Do they have the capability of like stockpiling that much vaccine at that a negative 70 C? That seems like a lot. So I just feel like, I mean, if it works, fine, but it's not something that you could put on a bunch of like UPS trucks and just distribute around the country. That's one of my big concerns. Chris Yao says, get yourself the beacon. Maybe it's time. I've been holding it off, but maybe it is time for me to get the beacon. Dee Dee says, thanks for the comments on the Ultra Superior. Thinking of getting a pair. I like them a lot. I've seen a pretty strong like consensus of like, what I'll say is real trail runners say that there's not enough grip on it. And I can maybe understand that because like the rubber on the outsole is not super stiff. So like if you run in like a Solomon shoe before, like the lugs that are on that shoe, it's like a whole different kind of rubber than the rubber that's on the outsole of the Ultra Superior 4.5. But that's also kind of what I like about it. And the Quantic foam is super soft. I really like it. It's just like running on like thinner, lighter, like memory foam. Like it's nice. It's really soft. It's really great for casual wear. I'll tell you that. Yeah, but it's a good shoe. Yeah, Daniel. Lots of people paying their respects to Justice Ginsburg. Yeah, yeah, everyone in this house was pretty upset when we heard the news. Sean Marshall says, favorite shoe store is RRS Kofuzi. Yeah, I mean, that's where I always look first because I'm in the VIP thing where you pay, I forget how much it is. Oh, by the way, they sent me like a thing where you can get the VIP membership for a discount. I'll have to tell you guys about. I'll share that with you guys later. So if you're thinking about getting that membership, I'll go find that email and I'll put it in the description of this video later. But that gives you like 10% off like all your shoe purchases. So that works out for me because I buy a lot of shoes every year. And then the second place, so like the only two places that I buy shoes these days is Roadrunner Sports and Running Warehouse. I look at Roadrunner Sports first. If they don't have it in the color that I want, or in the size that I need, then I'll look if Running Warehouse has it. And if Running Warehouse doesn't have it, then I'll look to the shoe company website. So like that's kind of like my order. And if like those three don't have it, I kind of just wait. Louis Becerra says, all I can say about what's happening in the U.S., please don't give any ideas to our president. Yeah, oh, sorry. We won't. Stevie76 says, Fauci said he takes his flu shots mid to late October so that it's still effective in the spring. I think everyone's saying now, like I think a lot of the advice now, and my daughter's allergist said the same thing, is get it now. Just get it. Go ahead and get it now and get a second one if you need one later on. But they're saying like you don't want to be catching flu like early this year, so just get the flu shot now. So we haven't gotten ours yet, but my wife wants to get ours pretty soon. I forget. I have to remind her that we still need to do that. So that's kind of like the advice we're gonna take for my daughter. They did their visit like with telemedicine. She has a yearly allergist checkup. She has peanut allergy. We're still hoping that she'll grow out of it, but she's been diagnosed with it since she's 1. So the window is pretty much closed. But we've gotten very good at living with it. But she was like, yeah, everyone should get... Our allergist was telling us that she thinks everyone should get the flu shot early. Yeah. Danny J says, Jackrabbit also seems to be pretty good. You know, I've been seeing more and more like good deals from them. So I've been like, I have been looking at them a little bit more often, just to kind of see what they're doing. Scott says, if you wear a mask, it'll be difficult to get the flu. That's what I'm hoping. I think that like I already really enjoy wearing neck buffs, like just around the house when it's cold. Like I'd rather put on a neck buff than like a hooded sweatshirt at this point. It just makes me feel so much more comfortable. I just like it. It's more like comforting, I guess is the word for it. And I've already, as of last year, I was already wearing like a buff instead of a scarf whenever I went out in the cold. Like I would wear them to run, but I was also just wearing them like to go get groceries. And so like I'm ready for like, I don't want to be like wearing a mask all the time in all indoor spaces all year round, but like I'm ready. Like I might be a convert. I might just start wearing it like a lot in the winters, and I'm hoping that we'll see. If I don't get like sick, then yeah, I might do it more often. Hey, DJ Muad'Dib says, I do keep finding good clearance deals on Jackrabbit, and their reward system pretty good too. They recently gave out $20 promos just for updating your info. Oh, that's interesting. Cool. Sean Marshall says, comeback of the turtleneck. Yeah, turtlenecks were really popular when I was in high school. I remember that. I remember like everyone was wearing turtlenecks. But maybe it's time for them to come back. I don't know. I'd rather have the buff. I like the buff more. Daniel M says, gotta head out for a work call. Bye, everyone. And I think that's probably a good time to end it for today for me as well. It's 3:50. I got to get my daughter set up. She's doing a live stream origami class today with one of her friends. So like her normal like after school origami instructor, like her after school activities instructor is kind of like going out on her own now and doing like, I guess, private lessons. Basically the same kids that were in the class before, but now instead of doing it through like an after school program, she's like doing it. And so like it's one of her besties and her and then the instructor, and so like it should be a nice little reunion for them. So I'm pretty excited for them to have that time. But I'm also going to get going, make sure she gets set up, and then tomorrow will be the GoPro video, Hero 8 versus Hero 9, and then we'll do another live stream 3:00 in the afternoon. Hopefully I'll see you in one of those two places. In the meantime, be safe out there on your runs, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.